what's up? Welcome to another episode of Cybersecure You. I'm your girl Val, the Forensic Gal. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. All right, so on this episode of Cybersecure You, I'm going to be talking about how you are the network, okay? Let's be clear. You are the network. And you are the network in so many ways when it comes to online activity and hackers wanting your information, okay? They want what you have. They want what you're about. They talk about how we are the network when it comes, or how we are the product. Let me be clear on this. How we are the product. And that's a whole nother show. And I will do a show on that. As far as like for advertisers, Facebook, Google, they use our algorithms from our emails, see what we click on, where we go, when we go, and we become the product that they sell to advertisers. But today we're talking about how you are the network. And the reason I am speaking about this is because, as we know, I've been hacked. I've said it all the time. I say it all the time. And I say it because I want people to know, right? So I have some expertise in being able to speak about this, not just degree-wise, but from experience as well. So I kept, I contemplate daily, how are the hackers getting into my devices? How are they getting into my phones, mobile phone, cell phone, whatever you want to call it? How are they getting into my iPad, tablets? How are they getting into my MacBook Pro? I contemplate this on a daily, and I try to figure out, no matter how many times I change my devices, no matter how many times I get new phones, no matter how many times I change the SIM card in these devices, no matter how many times I change my phone number, they still keep getting in. And mind you, it took me years to get to this point of like, okay, what's going on? Are they physically putting their hands on my device and that's how they're getting in? And they're seeing me and watching me put in my username and password? And in some cases, they did see that. But I believe, just based on my research and evaluation of my own situation, they were able to get in via, wait for it, smartwatches. Bing, 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 bing. I'm like, well, how the hell am I just figuring this out now? I can't. I'm telling you, it is beyond normal, right? But I believe it is due to smartwatches, external devices, right? You got your Bluetooth. You have all these other devices that can link to your main devices, right? So let's break this thing down a little bit. So they're using smartwatches, and we tend to ignore the capabilities of these items because you think, oh, they're small. How much can they really do, right? Small little watch, small little device you put in your ear. You can. Some people have the which are the best ones to use. Don't use, from my understanding, even though I do use it, the wireless Bluetooth that you stick in your ear. It's better to plug in the one with the cord and actually put that in your ear. It's harder to intercept something of that nature, or that little device. But nevertheless, we ignore these capabilities because we think, okay, what is it, how much can they really do, right? But it can do a whole lot. So let me give you an example. So there was a father, and he has two daughters. He got both of his daughters smartwatches, right? And he got them because they're apparently really good at tracking locations and keeping track of GPS locations. And so the daughters decided they were going to go out for a bike ride, and the dad said, okay, you guys go have some fun. So he wanted to a few minutes had passed, or maybe a half an hour, and he's like, well, I wonder where the girls are at. Let me check. Right? So he logs into the smartwatch to see where they're at along the path, what street they're on, what direction they're going. And at the bottom of his watch pops up a notification, some sort of prompt from Facebook. So he clicks on it, and lo and behold, someone else's information pops up. some other little girl's information pops up, not who he was trying to look at, someone he was not familiar with, and her information popped up. It was like it gave her name, her date of birth, her address, all kinds of other pertinent information about her. He was able to listen to her voice messages that she left in the conversations that she had with her parents. He was even able to call her and talk to her. It was beyond, like I said, this stuff is beyond normal. Even worse, he started to think, wait a minute, if I can do this, who's doing it to my girls? Who's seeing their information, or my information for that matter? And then he went and he reported it to the maker and manufacturer of the watch. And of course, they contact the software maker. They go hand in hand, right? So regardless of that, the whole point of this story is it was not his intention to pull up someone else's information, but he was able to. And so that in itself is a hack. And if he himself can hack by accident, unintentional, into someone else's stuff, who hacks into his stuff? Who hacks into our stuff? Right? So it's like this exchange that's going on, and it's going on in the background, and we don't even realize it half the time. And most of the times, if someone, you see someone else's information on your stuff, what do? You just say, oh, well, that's not what I was looking for, and you keep it moving, not thinking that, wait a minute, this goes a little deeper than that. How am I able to access this? What glitch is going on in the software? And what you have happening is you have these manufacturers, you have the Apples, you have the Samsungs, you have, the Facebooks, the Instagrams, you have all these entities, right? And they're fighting to put out the latest, the best, the baddest, right? So quickly, to the point where they are not taking the time to properly test all of what they're putting out. They're not testing the software properly, and they're not making sure there's eliminating all of the bugs. They just throw it out there and say, let's just see what happens, okay? And if somebody complains, then we'll fix it. But for now, let's just throw the shit out there. And that's where we find ourselves, and you find that there's class action lawsuits here, class action lawsuits there, because somebody will stumble upon something they weren't supposed to, report it back, and that's when it gets fixed. So it gets fixed that way, excuse me. So it's like this way of doing things that, we'll only fix it if it's broke. And that's not the mentality they should have when it comes to our privacy. Not at all. No, we cannot fix it when it's broke, because when it's broke, it's really, really broke. We really have issues then. And again, this can happen. It gets broke now. You find out, I was able to access this person's information. Oops, well, let me report it. Let me keep it moving. But then down the road, something happens to you, and it leads right back to what happened several years prior, right? And the back tracing and figuring it out and clearing it up is the damn issue. Okay, so anyways, what are smartwatches? I get to talking and I forget. I like have a way that I do the show, right? I've got everything outlined and what have you, and then I'd be jumping all over the place because I get excited about the topic. And I want you guys to be excited about this topic because, again, it's your privacy. Privacy, privacy, privacy. Think about it. What are smartwatches? Smartwatches are, for those who may not know, because there are people that may not know, there are these devices, and they're meant to basically accompany our main devices. It's made to go along with the phone. So it's not considered the phone, but it goes with the phone so that you don't have to always pick up your phone and use your phone to answer calls, to send messages, to search the internet. It is just an accessory, okay? And it's an accessory to all your major devices, whether you have a tablet, MacBook, whatever. It's meant to go with that. Like a piece of jewelry, accessorize, right? Here's the thing. What makes it different from a piece of jewelry is the jewelry just sits on my ear. It doesn't do anything. This particular accessory, when we're talking about a smartwatch, it does a lot. It does too much. It damn near does what the actual device it's accompanying does, right? So it can log information. It can collect your data. It can, let me go through my list because I want to make sure I don't miss anything. It can make and receive calls. It can use apps. It can access all sorts of features. It can even make digital payments, right? It's a form of a digital payment. Smartwatches can store all kinds of information. It can store all kind of highly sensitive information. Oh, okay. All right. So anyways, it can store all sorts of information, highly sensitive information from your phone number, email address, login credential, like I said, payment information. All of this can be stored on that little watch. And guess what the problem is with that? Once a hacker gets that information, they can do a whole lot with it. They can literally get into your business. Easy, no problem. So every single phone number, every type of login credential, it gives hackers a lot to work with. All they need, and it's so pathetic, all they need is your phone number. All they need is maybe your username. They don't even have to have the password nowadays. And by your username and your phone number, boom, they can get into your information. And it exposes us to all sorts of remote attacks. That's the problem with the smartwatch. Not only can smartwatches store an enormous amount of data, okay, and can get access to all your information. Understand that it can hackers can install malware onto it as well. Just like they can install malware onto your devices. If you select the wrong thing, you get an email, you click on it, and they inject malware, they can do the same thing with the smartwatch. It is not eliminated from any of these cyber crimes out there. So here's another thing I found with my research. Smartwatches has been known to trick individuals, specifically elderly people, into taking their medication at the wrong time. So the elderly, they get supplied these smartwatches, and it's supposed to help them stay on track with the day and time they need to take their medication. Well, research has shown that for a large percentage of seniors using and taking medication, that smartwatches would tell them to take their medication at the wrong time because the device got hacked, unfortunately. So, and they were sending them fake pill reminders. That's terrible when you think about it. Like, what who has time for that shit? Like, that's what I think what gets me. Who has time for the petty, frivolous shit that happens in this cyber world? Where they sit down and they take the time to send somebody the wrong information and they take their medication at the wrong time. Why? What's the point? You don't even know this person, but you just want to make this person's life hell. And that's what I've found when it comes to cyber crimes. The majority of the time, obviously, if they want financial benefit, like I've said that many times before on my show. But they also want to frustrate you. They also want to act like they're gods. They have this superiority, narcissistic mentality and attitude and personality where they just want to play God. They want to show what they can do, how they can make your life miserable. And that is that's the issue. That is the issue. That, I think, is my biggest issue when it comes to cyber criminals. Like, what the fuck is your problem? Go get a life. I swear to God, if they took the same energy that they're using to put into hacking someone and messing with someone else's life, they could literally go do something with themselves. Go work for the damn FBI. Go work for the federal government and make lots of money. Then you won't even have time to do anything like this. Like, come on. What's your problem? And I guess I'm so emotional when it comes to this because they came for me. And they came for me in such a big way, and they still are coming for me. Still doing shit that makes absolutely no sense. For instance, when I was preparing for this show, I'm doing my research, I'm doing my stuff, and I'm trying to, open up emails. I'm trying to send emails. I'm trying to, download things. And I'm like, what's going on? How come I can't download? Because I turned on the app. I went into my settings. I selected what I was going to use, made sure my cellular network is on, so I can use the cellular network in the SIM. I don't always have to go on Wi-Fi, which I rarely do, to do what I need to do, right? And all of a sudden, nothing's going through. It keeps giving me error messages, like this can't be downloaded. And I'm like, what the hell? When I go back into the settings, my airplane mode was turned on. Now, I didn't turn my airplane mode on. How the hell did it get turned on? Now, I've already known that I have cyber criminals in my device. And that's a whole nother show, because this is an iPad, as we can all see. But according to Google, Facebook, and every other entity or social media entity, this is a MacBook Pro. And it's clearly not. But that's how it's showing up in my devices in my account. So there is one major MacBook Pro out there controlling this iPad. And again, that's a whole nother show, which I will do. So here is one of the main type of crimes that are associated with smartwatches, and it's called phishing. And it's not, and you can think of it as far as like, oh, I'm casting the line to catch a fish. But instead of it being spelled Fishing, it's spelled Phishing. I hope I spelled it right. Phishing. So this particular crime, it can exploit all communication channels when it comes to devices. All right, it intercepts emails, text messages, it gets into all your social medias, and it can go into your DMs, right? So when it comes to phishing attacks, it usually involves someone impersonating something or someone. It can impersonate an organization, it can impersonate your bank, and it can impersonate one of your friends. And what they're trying to do is have you select something and then spread the malware throughout your device and then capture the data, okay? This allows them to lock the dang device. And so if you ever receive a email and it may literally resemble something that you would get from your bank that you've seen before. But these cyber criminals, God, some of them are a bit dyslexic and they don't know how to spell. And they're trying to move so fast that you can literally see the inconsistencies in their work. You can see where maybe all the fonts aren't aligned and they're not synced across. They're not the same font size in the spelling of the word. You can see where they've misspelled some letters. You can see where they've used the wrong terminology. You can see maybe the picture isn't a clear, crisp logo. These are the things that you can look out for to see if you yourself are in fact looking at the actual email sent from the organization or an email that's basically phishing for information so that it can spread malware on your device. So that's just something to look out for. But they are very common on smartwatches. Why? Because we're moving too damn fast. We want everything at the click of a button. So therefore, when you get a notification and it's coming not to your phone, but it's going to the smartwatch that you have connected to the phone, and you just look, click, you're not even thinking twice. That's how they get you. And they know that's how they can get you. So that's why they push all of this type of malware and then the phishing attacks and all this stuff. They push it to these smartwatches because they know they can get you really, really fast. I do want to mention that the smartwatches, they're capable of obviously connecting to the cell phone and in your devices, as we discussed earlier. And the government is having a big issue with this right now. Why? Because there are off-brand smartwatches that are made in China, okay, that are being sent or have been sent to members of or troops in the U.S. military. Now, they received a whole bunch of smartwatches, but how about all the smartwatches were injected with malware? All of them. So the government sent out a notification like, hey, if any of the troops receive these smartwatches, do not turn them on. Just by turning them on, it revealed sensitive information to the hackers, right? And mind you, the military troops and these U.S. military guys that are out there, they're out there. It's secret. We're not supposed to know where they're at. We're not supposed to know their location. We're not supposed to know what they're doing. But here, all of a sudden, they received the smartwatch, and as soon as they turn it on, boom, GPS location recognized. Now we know where the enemy is. So according to whoever's doing it, whoever the hacker is, that's what they want to know. Well, where exactly is the troop? What area are they in? So we're in Saudi Arabia and we're out here in the dirt. Okay, well, where are they in the dirt? They want to know and pinpoint that exact location. And that's why they sent out all these watches that had the malware that allowed them to detect where the U.S. troops were. Not a good thing. So the government got all involved and they're like, hey, hold up, because the location is what they're trying to get at. And I swear to God, I feel like we're moving too fast. I've been thinking that. I'm not the only person. We're moving way, way, way too fast. There's so much being thrown at us with these devices and even with TikTok. It took me a long time to jump on this TikTok bandwagon. But I had to jump on it because it's like, if I'm going to be doing this type of show, and it's not even the type of show, if I'm just going to be in this arena. First of all, I've been doing radio for years. I've been in radio for years, 16 plus years, if not longer, right? Probably 30. It's been a long time. And back in the day, we didn't have to deal with all of this, right? You did a show and you were in a studio, you had your engineer, it broadcasted, on the air, and then you maybe sent out mass emails to everybody. But now it's like so many different areas that now you have to go and put it on this social media site, and you need to tag this over here, you need to hashtag that over there, and it just literally exposes you to all sorts of cyber attacks, and that's what I don't like. And again, understand this GPS tracker, right? It can be used on smartwatches, and the wearers aren't even realizing that behind the scenes, they're being tracked every step that they take, everywhere that they go. You don't even realize it because you haven't even checked the settings. You never even changed the setting. You just got the watch, you put it on, synced it to your phone, and you kept it moving. Not knowing how many other devices, smartwatches, are linked to your device, you don't know because you never looked. You probably didn't care until now. So, let me mention this. So there's a Chinese developer, and they go by 3G Electronics, and they have an app called Set Tracker, okay, SET Tracker. And their app is usually what's used on the cheaper smartwatches on the back end. And this app is collecting all sorts of data on you. And it's not supposed to. That is not what this app is supposed to actually do. It's actually just supposed to help with making the smartwatch function properly. Instead, it's collecting data. Matter of fact, I was looking up lawsuits, and there's quite a few lawsuits out there against Facebook, I'm thinking there's one, and when I say Facebook, Meta, they changed the name, Meta. And I believe, I forget the other company, but there are some class action lawsuits that said basically individuals have found that their private information from hospitals were being given to Meta, aka Facebook, given to Instagram, given to all these other social media apps or most social media organizations, so that they can sell it to advertisers. So they're getting, of course, your name, your date of birth, address, but they're also getting your medical history. Every time you've had a shot, any type of disease you've ever had, any type of medical condition, any surgery you've ever had, what type of your blood type. You know, you got to remember, in other countries, they do a lot with that stuff when it comes to blood type and all this other stuff. They use that for other things, if you get what I'm saying. You know what I mean? So it's like, now there's a lawsuit for that. They are literally selling our information without our permission. And what the hell? Okay, fine. Let's sue you. We're going to sue you. What does that do for the fact that you have now sold my information to the hands of I don't know who the fuck? Who? And I don't know these people. And I don't know what they're going to do down the road with my information. We already had the issue with TikTok earlier this year, right? Where, what is it? Shou Chu or Shou Ching or Shou Chi, whatever his name is, sat before the Senate testifying about how China is not collecting this data from us on TikTok, when really they are. And now they found another way to do it, which is, let's just, contact some of these U.S. institutions and have them give us the information. And we'll pay them. You know, almighty dollar, man. I'm telling you, money make people do crazy, crazy things. So to wrap this up, I want you to understand how pertinent you, the individual, are, how pertinent you are to a hacker's ability to commit cybercrimes. We are the key. You are the network. And let me say this before I go into what I think you guys should do to just protect your devices. As usual, we got to give you some tips, right? For myself, when it comes to hacking, I realized that I am the network because I had so many other devices linked to my devices. And they were able to do things with my account that blocked me from doing things. Like, I couldn't do things because the permissions were only allowed to them. So I can't, let's say if I want to save this document and close out of it, I can't do it. They're blocking it on their end, and they're being able to do it with something as small as a smartwatch. That's when I was like, I'm essential to their behavior. So I'm the one with T-Mobile, right? Have you ever had, I don't know if any of you have ever seen this, but I know that I've gone into my network on the phone and just gone in to just check my network, who I'm with, whether it be AT&T, T-Mobile, Verizon. And not only am I seeing Verizon, but I'm also seeing AT&T, and I'm seeing Sprint, and I'm seeing this, and I'm seeing that. Why am I seeing a whole list of networks when I'm just with one network? That's because you have people with these smartwatches. Mind you, a smartwatch, whether it's iOS that go with Apple, or you have Samsung that goes with Android, any Android watch can basically connect to any Android device. Any iOS watch can connect to any iOS device. Just make sure you keep that in mind. So you could have 10 Android watches, and they can connect to this one Samsung device. And that's why I think I'm still around. Because I'm like, they should have damn killed me off a long time ago. You know what I mean? With all the drama, that the frustration and the trickery, but I'm still here. And I'm like, why? What's the point? What are you doing? And that's when I realized, wait a minute. They are accessing my devices and controlling my devices with something as simple as a smartwatch. So what can you do? Let's talk about how to protect yourself. If you're not using your Bluetooth, turn it off. If you're not using Wi-Fi, turn it off. I know you may think, oh, I want to keep it on because I plan to go over here later and I don't want to. No, just turn it off because it's really easy just to turn it back on. But you don't want to be tracked. So turn it off. To remove the bugs and, keep your devices secure, you need to power this thing down from time to time. There are times that I've realized, wait a minute, I didn't shut the phone off for the day. I've literally gone to sleep. This device was on the whole time. It carried me into the next day. And I'm like, why is it glitching? Because I didn't turn it off. Sometimes just powering it on and off can restrict and stop any of that background activity that's happening with your devices. It basically kicks the hackers out, and then they have to work a little bit to get back in. They can nevertheless get back in, but it takes them time. So maybe by the time you power this off and it's off for a little bit, they've moved on to somebody else. Make sure you do not connect your smartwatches to too many other devices. If you want to connect it to your phone, connect it to just your phone. If you plan on sitting down for a couple hours with your tablet or iPad, connect it just to the tablet or iPad. Do not have it connected to several other devices at the same time. I mean, it's a little too much. Last and final advice, update your software regularly. A lot of us don't like to do that because it seems like your devices malfunction a little bit after that. Things aren't in the same order, and for some reason you can't access this, and you were able to access it before the update, so it's a bit frustrating, right? You feel like, I don't want to go through that change, but it is absolutely imperative that you keep your applications and your device software updated, because this is why these organizations, that's what they're sitting there doing. They are trying to make sure that they've caught all the bugs. You know what I mean? Even though they'll throw the product out there, but once they find out, oh, there's a bug, they bring it back in, they fix it, and then they throw an update at you, right? So you got to update it because you want to make sure that whatever bug was out there, you don't have it going on with your devices. So that is the tips that I have for you concerning your smartwatches and concerning any of your devices and all of your accounts. But just remember, you are the network. And it is important as the network that you keep your home protected. You keep your privacy protected. All right? So, all right, that is the show today. Thank you so much for joining me, your girl Val, the Forensic Gal on Cyber Secure You. And don't forget, go on YouTube. Check us out on YouTube. It's Cyber Secure You. All right? And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you next week.